Good evening, all you wonderful, wonderful people out there in virtual land. I'm so glad that you could join us tonight for our second edition of our first ever virtual performance. So we've got lots lined up for you tonight. We've got players old and new. We have people who count their years with the players in decades. And we've got some new faces that hopefully you're going to be seeing in the future, because we've got some wonderful, wonderful talent on show for you tonight. So the first piece that you're going to hear tonight is an original poem of her own composition. It's by Mandy Hiscock, and it is entitled, Please, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, please don't cancel Christmas. Mr. Johnson, please don't cancel Christmas. I've looked forward to it all year. I think I've been a good girl, and my dad says it's full of cheer. Mr. Johnson, please don't cancel Christmas. My mum says that maybe you will. I really want to see my family, especially my great-granddad Bill. Mr. Johnson, if you cancel Christmas, I know that it means Santa can't come. I know there's a ban on travel, but without him it would be really dumb. Mr. Johnson, if you cancel Christmas, does it mean that the snow can't fall? I love playing out in the coldness, but your rule of 6 throws a massive curved ball. The elves will all have to claim furlough, as they can't make the presents and toys, and Santa's friends will all feel so shallow at not pleasing the girls and the boys. My mum said we are in lockdown, and my dad said something about tears. My school has a lot more rules now, though this has added to my fears. I'm not sure what is happening. COVID-19, someone said. Yet I'm all worried about Christmas and my family visiting instead. Boris, tell me the truth, please. The shop's shelves are all really bare. No beer or rice or pasta. My nan is quite in despair. She's poorly, you see, Mr. Johnson, unable to get to the shops. The delivery man comes with her shopping, but he substitutes bread for chops. Now, who shall I believe, Mr. Johnson? Is the news telling me what's best? I just want to have Christmas and return to my life, no unrest. So please don't cancel Christmas, Mr. Johnson. Let fun and cheer be indoors. I promise I'll be good in this madness. Can I be visited by Santa Claus?
That was Mandy Hiscock again with her own composition. Please, please, please feel free to unmute and join in the applause. We absolutely crave your applause. We've missed it. We've missed hearing all your responses to what we do. It's part of why we do what we do. So we would love, love, love to hear your applause. Okay, so our next performance is a short video dramatisation. It's the opening scene of All About George, which is a play by our very own Rose Lancaster. So we join George as he complains to his long-suffering sister that his girlfriend has left him. Now, I will warn you, there is some colourful language in this, but please enjoy All About George by Bex and Josh Rogers.
Bloody hell, George, what happened to you?
Oh, what are you doing up?
It's 6 a.m. Of course I'm up. I'm still a day.
Oh, shit.
You look like it.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. Where have you been?
Alex's.
Late one?
Something like that.
Brew? So how was it?
All right.
That good, huh?
Oh, I don't remember much beyond the fireworks.
Yeah, figure. Did you speak to Mum?
Why?
Nothing much. Just sort yourself out and ring her later.
What is it?
Nothing much, just ring her later.
Well, can't you just tell me?
Honestly, it's nothing.
Too hungover for this.
Your Lego.
What Lego?
At Mum's.
What about it?
I mean, it's still there.
Where?
Mum's.
For fuck's sake, come on. Come on.
Okay.
What?
It's the rats.
What rats?
The rats in Mum's attic.
Attic?
Loft.
What do you mean?
They got in the box. Yep. They got stuck right in.
Well, why was my Lego in the loft?
I don't know. Ask Mum. She's chucking it.
What? All of it?
I assume so.
Well, she's chucking out all of my Lego.
Well, yes. Past tense. Chucked.
Bloody hell.
Sorry, but you wouldn't have wanted to keep it, surely. I mean, I know it's hard to swallow the idea of vermin crapping over one's childhood toys. It's never nice. But once she's found the rats, nothing up there really stood a chance. George, no, the toilet, George, the toilet! Are you dead? I'm worried about you.
What do you mean?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just worried about you.
Yeah, cheers. There's really nothing to worry about.
I think we both know that's bullshit.
It's nothing bullshit, Luce. It's just nothing. I'm fine. I'm hungover, still drunk, whatever.
No shit. When are you not?
Jesus.
Sorry, that was harsh.
Really pick your moments, don't you?
Look, I know the last few months have been pretty hard.
Oh, Lucy, not now.
But drinking yourself into oblivion isn't going to change anything. George!
I don't have to explain myself to you.
I'm not asking you to explain anything. I'm
Just sticking your nose in, yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you're not going to find the answer to this by drowning yourself in booze. Getting wrecked any chance you get is not going to bring Jess back.
But don't look at me like that.
Like what?
Like mother.
I'm not looking at you like anything. I'm just looking at you.
Well, stop it. I thought with her gone that we'd escaped all this bollocks.
Forgive me if I happen to bear resemblance to the woman who pushed us out of her vagina. She'd be saying the exact same thing if she was here.
Well, she's not.
Well, I am. And I'm telling you, it's not easy watching the golden boy piss everything up the wall.
What?
I mean, what happened? 1 minute, you and Jess are permanently loved up, talking about houses and everything. The next thing I know, me and the kids wake up, she's gone, and you've got your hand permanently attached to an energy drink.
Really, you're lecturing me on drinking?
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing.
No, go on. If you've got something to say, spit it out.
Come on, it's not like I got a problem, I mean, is it? Christ, Gav's been drinking like a fish as long as I can remember, but I get dumped and I have a few beers and you make out like it's the end of the world.
But you don't do this, George. You've always been on a level, sorted. You did it the right way. School, college, the decent job, nice car. Bloody hell. You're not Gav. I hate having to stand by and watch you piss it all up the bloody wall.
No, I'm not. I don't drink around the kids, do I?
That's not really the point.
Well, what is?
I just...
What? Look, Luce. Jess wanted to settle down. I thought I did, but in the end, I was just scared. She made the call, end of.
Mum! You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
Yes. Go. It's only going to get louder. Hang on, I'm coming.
Cryptic Q&A. I tell you you're pretty in a roundabout way. Start forming meaning in assumptions that I make. I only ever hesitate.
Thank you, Bex and Josh, for that. Okay, so next up we have Dorothy Nelson. So she is going to be performing Paulina's monologue from A Winter's Tale by William Shakespeare. We join Paulina as she bears the news of her faithful friend Hermione's death to the tyrannical king.
What studied torment tyrant hast for me? What wheels, racks, fires? What flaying, boiling in leads or oils? What old or newer torture must I receive, whose every word deserves to taste of thy most worst? Thy tyranny, together working with thy jealousies, fancies too weak for boys, too green and idle for girls of 9. Oh, think what they have done and then run mad indeed, stark mad, for all thy bygone fooleries were but spices of it. That thou betrayedst Polixenes, 'twas nothing, that did but show thee of a fool, inconstant and damnable ingrateful. Nor wast much, thou wouldst have poisoned good Camillo's honour, to have him kill a king. Poor trespasses, more monstrous standing by, whereof I reckon the casting to crows thy baby daughter to be but none or little, though a devil would have shed water out of fire ere done't. Nor is directly laid to thee the death of the young prince, whose honourable thoughts high for one so tender, cleft the heart that could conceive a gross and foolish sire, blemished his gracious dam. This is not, no, laid to thee, but the last. O lords, when I have said, cry woe, the queen, the sweetest, dearest creature that ever lived, dead, and vengeance for it's not dropped down yet.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much, Dorothy. Okay, our next piece. Okay, so we have up next Tony Pickup and Peter Craze. So this is Politically Correct Trafalgar by Len Hines. So Admiral Horatio Nelson, as you have never seen him before. Now, this does contain some colourful situations, shall we say. So prepare to be transported to the high seas with Politically Correct Trafalgar.
Make the signal, Hardy.
Aye, aye, sir.
Hang on, that's not what I dictated to flags. What's the meaning of this?
Sorry, sir?
England expects this day that every person will do his or her duty regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, religious persuasion or disability? What sort of gobbledygook is this?
Admiral policy, I'm afraid, sir. We're an equal opportunities employer now. We had the devil's own job getting England past the census, lest it be considered racist.
Get suit, Hardy. Pass me my pipe and tobacco.
Sorry, sir. All naval vessels have now been declared smoke-free working environments.
Well, we'd better break out the rum and splice the main brace to steel them in for action.
Rum ration has been abolished, Admiral. It's part of the government's policy on binge drinking.
Good heavens. Whatever next? Well, we'd better get on with it then. Full speed ahead.
I think you'll find there's a 4-knot speed limit in this stretch of water.
Damn it, man. We're on the eve of the greatest battle in naval history. We must proceed with all dispatch. Report from the crow's nest, please.
That won't be possible, sir.
What?
The health and safety have closed the crow's nest, sir. No harnesses, and they said that the rope ladders don't meet regulations. They won't let anyone up there until proper scaffolding can be erected.
Well, then send for the ship's carpenter immediately.
He's busy knocking up a wheelchair access to the foredeck, Admiral.
Wheelchair access?
Health and safety again, sir. We have to provide a barrier-free environment for the differently abled.
Differently able? Look, I've only got one arm and one eye. I refuse to even hear the words differently abled. I didn't rise to the rank of Admiral by playing the disability card.
Actually, sir, you did. The Royal Navy is underrepresented in areas of visual impairment and limb deficiency.
Well, we'd better get on with it then. Set full sail, the salt spray beckons.
A couple of problems there too, sir. Health and safety won't let the crew up the rigging without hard hats. And they don't want anyone breathing in too much sea salt. Haven't you seen the adverts?
Never heard such infamy. Break out the cannon and tell the men to prepare to engage the enemy.
The men are a bit worried about shooting at anyone, Admiral.
This is mutiny.
It's not that, sir. It's just that they're afraid of being charged with murder if they actually kill anyone. There are a couple of legal aid lawyers on board watching everyone like hawks.
Well, how are you supposed to sink the Frenchies and the Spanish?
Actually, sir, we're not.
We're not?
No, sir. The French and Spanish are our European partners now. According to the common fisheries policy, we shouldn't even be in this stretch of water. We could get hit with a claim for compensation.
But you must hate the Frenchmen as you hate the devil.
I wouldn't let the ship's diversity coordinator hear you say that, sir. You'll be up on disciplinary report.
Well, you must hate every man who speaks ill of your king.
Not anymore, sir. We must be more inclusive in this multicultural age. Now, put on your Kevlar vest. It's the rules. Could save your life.
I know. Health and safety. Whatever happened to rum, sodomy and the lash?
As I explained, sir, rum is off the menu. And there's a ban on corporal punishment.
And what about sodomy?
I believe that is now legal, sir.
Well, in that case, kiss me, Hardy.
Yeah! Thank you again to Tony and Peter for that. Oh gosh, that does make me giggle. Okay, so next up we've got a piece that was penned by the Royal Shakespeare Company's Michael Corbidge. It centres around one man's journey through lockdown as he witnesses the comings and goings in the street in which he lives. So, fair warning, this does contain some very strong language and one case of extremely strong language. So, introducing Kim Rowe in A Gentle Exchange of Cucumbers.
This is my street. Not the most salubrious of residential havens, but it's home. And it has been for the last 32 years, on and off. My street has another name, Crook Alley. It was a bit of a slum back in the day, late 60s onwards, I'd say. A bit of a no-go for those in the know. You would mention in passing some detail about the bridge or the station or the laundry shop on the corner or the windmill, and there'd always be a definite attitude. People would look around for their children and call them, or look at their imaginary watches, or they'd pull their coat collars a little bit tight around their necks and get a foggy look in their eyes and say things like, "Oh, you live there?" Or, "Wow, I'd have never thought of looking for you there. Gosh, that must have changed." No, the upper part in my address has got nothing to do with upperness at all. No, it's not upper crust, it's not uppity or up your own arse. It's the complete opposite. It's downtrodden. It's woe-begotten and forgotten. More like wee woody arsehole. There's been some notorious goings on in this street. Somewhere etched between village folklore and myth and legend and downright fiction. And there's been crimes and sentences and convictions. Embroidered like some Hollywood movie and regaled to all newcomers like myself as some rite of passage. It still goes on to this day. I was talking to my neighbour, my best friend, about the lovely blokes who'd done my roof. I had a complete roof job. Great blokes they were, provided the scaffolding. They were quick, friendly, and very, very reasonable. So much so that I asked them if they'd put a window in my loft for a loft extension. And they said, yeah, they'd do it, and I think we agreed a fixed price. Well, that wasn't going to happen any time soon, was it? They were both being entertained at one of Her Majesty's prisons for some considerable time. I didn't like to ask her why, but judging by the length of the sentence, it must have been something pretty bad. I'd hazard a guess, involuntary manslaughter. Never did get that window fitted, but I hear they're out. They did 7 years. And then she told me that there'd been a murder, and not just any murder, but a decapitation, the head swiped clean off in front of the whole family. Well, to be honest, I'd lived in a street in London for 10 years with 2/3 of Banana Armour and Dennis Nielsen. Nothing really phases me. You see, the thing about living on a street with crooks and rogues and vagabonds and ne'er-do-wells is, well, pardon the expression, but they don't shit on their own doorstep. So in many ways, this street was as safe as houses, and it has been ever since. I can literally go for weeks without locking the back door or closing the window. It's a marvellous way to live. There's a real we look after our own kind of attitude. There's a real freedom to it. There's definitely something to be said for living in the centre of a crime wave. In fact, I remember a bloke coming to my door once. He knocked on it. He said, you left these in the ignition, Gov. You ought to be a bit more careful. His name was Crab. He was a sheep stealer and an ace poacher to boot. He was also a trained butcher, which meant that he could go into a field, he could sort the sheep out, bag it up, and it'd be in your freezer by 2 a.m. The foxes would finish what was left, and the farmer had no idea it had happened. He often gave me a brace of pheasants or some rabbit. He even gave me some knock-off lamb once. You learn not to ask questions. You simply said, "Thank you very much," and you went in the kitchen and got the slow cooker out. There's been some things going on in this street, I tell you. Even to this day, little packets of white powder changing hands in broad daylight. Drugs dealers in expensive trainers. Boys in fast cars with ever faster girlfriends without a care in the world. There's been stolen goods coming and going up this street. You name it, it comes up. Fridges, televisions, computers, gadgets aplenty. It comes in red hot, cools down and gets moved on. And why? Well, it's because this street gets overlooked. Yeah, it's a bit shabby and it's a bit run down. And it could do with a bit of TLC here and there. But, you know, a coat of paint on the railings, the road could do with a tarmac. Other gardens could do with some garden maintenance. Just a bloody good weed would help. We've gone out as a posse every now and again to do that, but the novelty, it soon wears off. We are a low priority, apparently. 30 years of being a low priority, and there is jack shit money to spend on anything. And now, with all this pandemic nonsense, do you know, I think the police must know what's going on. I mean, if they can't see it, they can smell it. There is folk going green in greenhouses bigger than the footprint of their own homes. Even in the loft, and illegal brewing. And we only know that because one of the neighbours had his roof blown clean off. The stink was in the air for days. And some on this street are in big trouble with the police, and often. And I think, if I'm honest, half the street must be tagged. I do remember those 6 coppers coming down the street once, almost in a row of arm locks. Very fetching they were. The blokes with their nice beards and their very handsome looks. And the ladies all fit, blonde, pretty. They looked like they were in a band, a cross between Steps and the Village People. They did not look like they were about to jimmy in a front door, which they did. No, what I wanted to see them do was shimmy up the street and be all gold lame and tassels underneath, singing, "Reach for the stars." Now that would have been a turn up for the books. My very own musical in my very own street. Now, lockdown hasn't been too bad for us here, but it ain't been a musical either, more's the pity. But I think we've made the best of it. I mean, we have had amazing weather. We've got lovely country walks, whichever way you look. And the beach is only a 15-minute walk away. And it's a gorgeous bay with plenty of space. We are also lucky enough to have a town that's well stocked and well supplied with food. The best of it coming from the local farm shops. And some of us have got allotments, which I'm proud to say I have myself. Go out my back gate and I'm on a 50 yards worth of escapism, mindfulness and oneness with nature. My very own little eco corridor. And in those early days, I remember there was a lot of sitting, gawping at the TV at the 5 p.m. address to the nation. The double act of Boris and Whitty. There'd be Whitty with the facts and the figures and the science and the strategy. And then Boris would come on with the spin and the slipperiness and the dead behind his eyes and his lies. And then there'd be the news at 6. And at BBC, of course, so there'd be more of the same. And then there'd be a special programme to do it all again. And then bingo stingo. Here we go again, it's the news at 10. It was like being on a hamster wheel of information with no way of getting off. Evenings full of grim figures, empty shelves, deaths, no toilet paper. And then on a Tuesday, we'd be outside the front door, clapping for the NHS. More deaths, more clapping, more... No equipment. Nurses doing their best to save the nation. Anyway, I live in a 2-bed, two up, 2 down, end of terraced house, one of 6 in a row. It's an old quarryman's cottage, and there's a lot of chalk in there. I mean, fuck, there is a lot of chalk. Well, I live near the White Cliffs of Dover, so I suppose that makes sense. But I remember my cellar. It was all chalk and all flint. A real soakaway, never any smell. I remember finding an albino frog down there once. It was a bugger to dig up. The pneumatic drill kept slipping on the flint and buggering up the operator's wrists. Got through a lot of workmen on that dig. Still, it's now a lovely cellar kitchen. And I was what you called a DFLer, a down from London Londoner. Not so frowned on then as they are now. No, then we were quirky and foreign and good value. Now the DFLers are annoying with their fast cars and their fast cash and their big ideas. Now, I do the frowning. Now this street ends abruptly at the top. It promises nothing more than a short track into a field and later on into a wood and a copse. They're building on it now. 270 fucking houses made of ticky-tack. On a field that promised everything. My field of dreams. The seasons being a lovely way of passing the time by simple growth of a crop or two. The wheat or the corn or the peas. They would plough the field and then plant it. And there'd be tiny little green shoots of growth. And then more growth. And then big growth. And then one big final growing spurt. And that's when we would go in under the covers of darkness and steal the corn. It was the best corn ever. I mean, stolen bounty always tastes better, doesn't it? Oh, butter. Good butter. None of your cheap shit. Creamy butter. And spend the cash. And then pepper along it. And salt that crackles as it crackles from a mill. Oh, my taste buds, they're salivating as I do it. Oh, my word. I'd eat 10 or more corns in a day. It was worth the extreme after effects. Well, you don't really digest corn, do you? More it passes through your system and you evacuate pretty much corn. So with a good wind and the right stance, you could pebble dash your own home. And look, I'm using euphemisms here, folks, so don't get offended. But the stomach cramps and the wind, but it's once a year and it's so worth it. And then they would harvest the field, and what was left was the clumps of earth. We would have the view back. What an amazing view with the windmill and the freedom of space and the view. But alas, no more that view. No, now it'll be curbsides and sleeping policemen and green bins and minuscule but manicured front lawns with neat little white fences around it. Well, that's what the show home looks like anyway. I had a bloody good look. A crappy little box filled with shitty Home Bargains interior and a crappier front door that's supposed to promise everything and delivers nothing. What is it about this wall art? Can somebody explain, please? I mean, big fucking frondy flowers, iguanas, butterflies, massive and garish, ugly as shit, badly made and fucking everywhere. Is it fashionable? How? How is that fashionable? So, you see, that's my future. 800 people in a new estate filling their crappy little boxes with shitty Home Bargains interiors and crap wall art. Lucky me! And with lockdown, there was a new person to our well-trod path to the cold-blown woods. The Lockdowner. Oh yeah, they have a name. I christened them the Lockdowner. As I said, the street ends abruptly at the end. It's a destination. You have to have a reason for going there. You either live there, or you're visiting, or you're delivering. Drugs, drop-off and collection included, of course. And parking, well, that's for residents only. And that is a total jamboree and a game of dodgems always. So with this first stage of lockdown and the need to get out of the house, to exercise, to walk, to jog, to run, it was like the world and their uncle, who'd never heard of my street, were coming down it as if it won Kent's attraction of the year. It was like Oxford Street on sales day. Who and what were those fucking people doing down my street? Families with 2.2 children and a dog. Nay, dogs. New couples looking newly hitched. Old people, well heeled in barbers and properly supported footwear. Young girls in lycra, didn't mind them. Pretending to power walk and talk and shoot shit with their besties. Others in head-to-toe gym gear who really should not have been wearing it. I mean, arses like football pitches. It was like being in a documentary. You know, the ones where the animals gather at the watering hole. I could almost hear David Attenborough narrating in my head. The whole of life was parading past me and looking in. It was a migration, social distant herding, lemmings heading towards a cliff. In truth, it was like I was in a goldfish bowl. People would stare in and go, "Oh, look, that's really homely." Or, "It's too small for me, there's nowhere for my baby grand." Oh, poor things. They'll never be able to upsize. The footprint of this entire house would fit into my kitchen diner. Oh, look, it's super sweet. It's just big enough for one, just like those hobbit houses back home. And this was happening 7 days a week at all times of the day. Civilization was connecting through my humble, tumble-down little street and making free uses of my wood and my field. I felt indignation and affronted. Lockdown had given them an excuse to come up my back alley uninvited. I had a how dare you attitude. I wanted to shout, fuck off! I didn't. And with people come dogs. Dogs of all shapes and sizes. Now, I'm not adverse to a dog, but I never had one as a kid, and I haven't got one now. I'm more of a cat lover. And it wasn't long before this street was looking like an unofficial Crufts. I mean, thank God they were on leads, because there's a couple of dogs owned by one of my neighbours that are thuggish feral. And when they hear another dog bark, it's like they make a noise like nothing on earth. And one of them jumps so high, it's almost like he's about to take off. If they had got out, it would have been total carnage. Luckily, most people are good citizens and clean up after their dog. Proper bags, proper conscientious about it. Others, though, they literally don't give a shit. And it wasn't long before this street was looking like a dog latrine. And it seemed to me that it was the early morning dog walkers who get away with it. I mean, one dog in particular was taking a dump outside my gate every day. And judging by the size of its back end emissions, it wasn't a small dog, more like a fucking pony. So I decided that I was going to watch and wait a proper stakeout, hiding in the shadows or twitching behind the curtains. And like clockwork, it happened. So I went out under the pretense of putting something in my recycling bin. I said, good morning. He said, good morning. I said, you need to tidy up after your dog. He said, well, I'm frightfully sorry, I don't have any bags. I said, well, that's a bit irresponsible of you, isn't it? I'll go get you a bag. Fuck off, he said. I said, well, that's charming. Fuck off. Well, that's double charming. And choice language for this time in the morning. Look, tidy up after your dog or I'm going to call the police. Oh, and by the way, I'm videoing this from the moment that your dog stopped, sniffed, crouched and shat. So I am going to make you as famous as I can on as many Facebook sites as I can, because everybody loves a good dog poop story. So what's it going to be? He walks off. So I follow him, bag in pocket, dog turd, steaming and smelling revolting. He turns. Fuck off, you fucking fuckwit. Fucking cunt, he says. I don't recall the rest. It was all F's and C's and practically fuck at the end of every word. Limited language skills, obviously. Not very bright. So I said, no, pal, I ain't gonna fuck off. But I'll tell you what I am gonna do. I am gonna follow you home. And I am gonna drop my pants and I'm gonna do exactly what your dog has done outside my gate. I am going to defecate on your doorstep. And you know what? I am going to do it every morning till doomsday if I have to, until you learn a lesson. He walks off again. So I follow. This time, I am speaking to anybody I can find, naming and shaming, telling him exactly what these dogs and him have done. Some just scuttle for their cars. Others run for the train. Some agree with me and tell him to clean up. Obviously other dog owners. And I'm about 15 metres behind him when he suddenly stops. And he says, you come any closer and I'm going to punch your fucking lights out. I said, you try it, pal. You just try it. And I'll have you in court faster than you can say Jack Robinson on an assault charge. And I will throw the book at you. So what's it gonna be? He cleaned up. He went back into the street. He took the bag off me. It's a carrier bag because I don't have dogs, as I said, so I just hoped it was big enough. And he cleaned up. And then he went to put it in my wheelie bin. I told him, "Oi, pal, no, that's your shit, not my shit. You take it home with you." So that got me thinking about scatology. Now, scatology is the socially biological study of shit. I mean, we're surrounded by it. By shits, by scats, by dung, by poo. And some of it doing wonderful things for the earth, giving it real, proper nutrients. And I realised I'm either ranting about it or I'm extolling its virtues. I mean, take my composters. They are doing amazing things with the compost from my allotment. And, wait for it, my chickens. Who knew that chicken shit was worth its weight in gold? Never, ever, ever throw it away. No, what you do is you put it into black sacks and you get it really hot. And that starts the process off. And then you pile them up and let them get on with it. Aided and abetted by the red worms, my bestest friends on the allotment. They are the composters. Literally, they will eat everything. And what comes out the other end can only be classed as black gold. It's like silk running through my fingers. And the crop it gives is award-winning. I had a pumpkin grow so big once that a neighbour thought it was a space opera from a bedroom window. And as for my cucumbers, my award-winning cucumbers, I share them with everybody. They are shiny and sleek, firm, brilliantly green, packed with moisture, a good girth, and the length is perfect. And I get cucumbers given to me in return. We, as a group, put trugs or baskets out and we pass on the produce to everybody. And I gratefully accept it. I'm just ever grateful. It's just a gentle, neighbourly exchange of cucumbers. And no shit.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Okay, so moving on from that, we are going to be going across to Jordan Barkway. This is an original poem that she's written depicting the very real struggle faced by every writer on the planet, ever. So this is Jordan with Why Can't I Think?
To be or not to be? I can't use that, I'm sure somebody's already done that. You know, I've been really struggling to think lately. No words come to my mind when trying to write stories or poems for class. Should I use a metaphor or a simile to start? This finding words thing is a lot like... I find this looking for words thing is like looking for a tennis ball that the dogs abandoned in the long grass. You eventually just give up. I'm thinking of giving up. It's hit me. I could start it. Once upon a time. No, it's way too generic. I cannot do that. I need something that pops. One stormy night. That's every horror story ever. I don't want to seem basic. I want to be interesting, funny, innovative, sparking curiosity in the unsuspecting minds of readers. Perhaps starting it, there was once a girl called Alice. Unless there's a white rabbit and the Cheshire Cat, I cannot start it like that. I give up. I am done. I'm never going to win the school writing competition. Oh, but the thought of that shiny trophy and the £50 Amazon voucher. But I can just never write a story. I can never think.
Oh gosh, yes, that struggle of knowing what to put down on paper, and nobody wants to seem basic. I had to ask my teenager what that meant. Okay, so next up we have Tony Pickup, and he is going to be performing the monologue by John of Gaunt from Richard II. So this oft quoted speech has long been regarded as the epitome of English patriotism and evokes an image of England that is beautiful and majestic. Let's see if anyone recognises it.
Methinks I am a prophet new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. This rash fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes the spurs too fast betimes. With eager feeding food doth choke the feeder. Light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming means, soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise. This fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in a silver sea, which serves it in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happy lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous by their birth, renowned for their deeds in far-off lands, for Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre in stubborn Jewry of the world's ransom, blessed Mary's Son. This land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land is now leased out. I die pronouncing it, like unto a tenement or pelting farm. England, bound in by the roaring sea, whose rocky shores beat back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. This England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Were a scandal to vanish with my life, how happy then were my ensuing death.
Tony, thank you very much. Okay, so we now have another Shakespeare. Something a little different from the last, though. So we all know the story of Romeo and Juliet. Boy meets girl, girl falls in love with boy, boy falls in love with girl, girl's family hates boy, boy's family hates girl. They try and keep it a secret. It does not end well. At this point, we are going to go across to Richard McBain, and he is going to be performing the part where Romeo first spies his love upon the balcony.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound. But soft, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already pale and sick with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal ivory is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. No, I'm too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, and they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eye in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Thank you very much, Richard. That is a beautiful piece and beautifully delivered as well. Okay, so we are coming up to our final piece of the night, because everyone else is sad as I am. I'm going to miss it. Okay, so this is another piece by Michael Corbidge, looking at an actress with a serious character flaw, which is that she is pathologically late for everything. This was performed and filmed just before lockdown number 2, the return of lockdown, you know, the one that's going to proceed, you know, hopefully not lockdown 5, 7, 9, we'll see. So I'm going to have to give a warning for this one as well. There is some very strong language right from the start, including one case of extremely strong language. So I'm now going to introduce Rose Lancaster in Tick.
Supposed to be at the designated time because I haven't gone anywhere. Oh. They said they couldn't risk it. Not with my reputation. Too risky by half. Love my talent, but not wild about my timekeeping. And it's all for you. All for your own sake, they said. Patronising bastards. Ugh. Why they couldn't just use a bloody hologram or a video, heaven knows. But anyway, to put it bluntly, I have a bit of a reputation for being late. Well, it's more than a reputation. It's a national catastrophe. So, that's why I've been incarcerated against my will by a big fat bulldyke of a stage manager with the personality of a black hole. Think of it as a fairy story gone horribly wrong. Beautiful princess actress, moi, is so incredibly talented that she can't be left on her own for too long, otherwise she might not appear at the gala for the prince and the 53 million other people waiting to watch the telecast. So, wicked, evil, lesbian aunt with more holes in her than a sieve has locked her up in some dusty, gloomy, unused theatre, thrown away the key in some dark orifice of hers. I'm sure she fancies me. And this is all just a ploy to get me into my scanties and into my sleeping bag. She might walk past this way, so watch out. And for God's sake, do not mention the piercings. Do not get her started on those. She will show you them all. And believe me, it's not for the faint-hearted. So, you might be thinking, oh, what's the cute girl in the sleeping bag keep wearing very little? Well, it's blissfully simple, really. You see, I'm always late. It's a guarantee, and not just by a little bit, sometimes a day or two, even a week. Apparently, I'm pathologically late, which I always thought had something to do with killing, so I was killer late, until I looked it up. Pathologically means I'm in a compulsive state. I exhibit typical compulsive behaviours, and it's chronic. My production company, the people who employ me, just couldn't take the risk. So I was deposited, chained and locked, and then monitored, guarded by some frustrated, horny night watch woman who I'm sure has other ideas about me being here. She's probably had me filmed. And they're going to put me on one of those sad lesbian internet sites for even sadder somnambulistic lesbo cronies, so they can get off on this slemmy-clad Sleeping Beauty actress. Who knows? God really is a fairy story. It's a wonder this show ever got off the ground with me in it. But a bit of true grit, determination and some locked doors obviously did the trick. You see, this is a monologue marathon. I'm in a monologue marathon. Ugh. It's a show for charity. Where billions of actors come on stage, one after the other, and perform to an audience who can come and go as they please. But for 48 hours, this stage is never empty. Oh, and it's not just any old actor, they're all here. Callow, Branner, Blethyn, Staunton, me. High-profile gigs, sweetie. Ooh. In fact, darling, they wanted me so badly they had to lock me in. How's that for fame and glory? Maxine De Silva is so needed, they had to steal her away in the middle of the night. Actually, I was 2 days late for one rehearsal, and for a one-woman show, that's just criminal. So, they decided to treat me like one. Meals in plastic trays 3 times a day, shoved under my nose like a dog. Only warm water to drink, and even escorts to the loo. Bloody pervert. I've tried everything, you know. Hypnotherapy, time management classes, acupuncture, swimming with dolphins. I was even late for that. And believe me, never be late for a dolphin, because he'll piss all over you. And I've spent hours in the company of one Gottfried Heinemann, not his real name for reasons of confidentiality. And together, we have spent hours raking over my life with a fine-tooth comb, trying to get to the base reason for my tardiness. I got so clever with him that the checks were arriving at his house to pay for the missed appointments before I'd even missed them. How's that for late time management? Maxine, we have been working together for some time now. Yes, I know, I said. I've just paid for your fucking drive to be resurfaced and ruined a decent pair of shoes to boot. There is something I would like to show you, so please take a look, have a listen, and tell me which of these ring any bells for you. Snide bastard! Was he making a reference to my late fiancé who I left standing in the registry office just a few short years ago? How cruel! Your lateness can be seen in 7 different lights. So, please choose, and remember, there may be more than one. Oh, goody! Multiple choice with multiple options. So, was I 1, the rationalizer? Did I blame it all on outside circumstances? Or was I 2, the producer? Did I feel the need to get more and more done in every minute? Or 3, the deadliner? Was I one of those that liked a last-minute sprint to the finish? Every second running out of time! Or 4, the indulger, showing no self-control, the archetypal procrastinator. Or 5, the rebel, resisting authority and keeping my own control. Or merely 6, the absent. The absent-minded one with just too much introspection. Or finally, 7, the evader, constantly anxious of my environment and desperately trying to control it. Wow, all of the above and more. Oops, German therapist without a sense of humour. Trust me. Maxine, this is serious stuff. You have missed job opportunities. You have been fired from jobs. You have missed promotions, planes. Oh, you have missed concerts, weddings, funerals. You've missed movies, lectures, spending time with your friends and family, people who love you. It is clear. You are in a lifelong pattern. And you are late for everything. You must work together with me on this, or I cannot help you. See, truth be told, punctuality scares me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some anarchic, anti-disestablishment type, a rebel. God, no. It's just this need for accuracy, being in the right place at the right time that bothers me. Swim class, 6:30. 9 a.m, ballet, 7:30, barbecue, don't be late. 7 o'clock sharp, drinks, 10 o'clock therapy, in the chair. Oh, don't be late, tick-tock, on the dot. I cannot bear this neatness, this timeliness, this need for a timetable which tells you your life is ticking away with meaningfulness, which is ironic, really. Because we fill our lives with meaningfulness so that we don't have meaninglessness. Bloody ballet. Who needs it? Besides, bad things happen to prompt people. Now, this is a truth that half the world has no clue about because they're never early enough to notice. For example, take the classic audition scenario. I mean, who wants to arrive early and stand there thumbing through crappy magazines like Pig Breeders Monthly? So, you lean against a wall, do a bit of people gazing. Perhaps some nerd will show up early too and come up over to greet you. But they don't. That would be too much to bloody well ask, wouldn't it? So, you start to pace. You count the tiles on the floor, the walls, the ceiling. You start to add them up in your head, counting even the fragmented ones. You test your skills of multiplication and addition. And then, not happy with the answer, you do it all over again. Mindless wanker. You study the architectural details in the vicinity. I mean, you know jack shit about them, but you look for the Dutch influences. The Victorian, Edwardian, 1970s. Now you start clock watching. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 15 seconds, and not happy with your watch, you start looking for a clock. How far from base can I stray to find one? Then doubt creeps through your veins like ice. Maybe this is the wrong place. Oh, they've changed it and they haven't told me. Oh. Then you forgive. You think, maybe there's been an accident. Something terrible has happened. But in your heart of hearts, you know the director is basically just some lazy son of a bitch bastard who couldn't give a toss about the auditionees because he's already been shagging the person he knows for 6 weeks anyway. You think about calling and the frustration turns to anger. Wasting my fucking time. So, you give yourself a deadline. 5 more minutes. And that's it. Then he shows up. Obnoxious cunt. Yeah, and he looks like he's been up all night fucking shagging anyway. Put all this together and promptness isn't worth it. I don't have that now in the pottering, browsing, running errands, showering. And I'm not so vulnerable to those tin pot directors playing those bloody mind games. But one thing I have learned is that prompt people have long memories. My German analyst said to me one day, Maxime, what do you think gives your life meaning? Ooh, roll-ups, lions, good sex? Wrong answer. Think, girl, this is serious. Time is money. Not seeing clocks of any nature. Town clocks, video functions, that sort of thing. I don't know, countdowns, TV guides, calendars. I see, he said. Like fuck he did. I'm paying 50 quid an hour for I see. And he suggested I had some sort of morbidity complex, some sort of I hate time syndrome. Now we're getting somewhere. I like that notion. I have a fear of clocks. That's it. I dance off down the street, clutching my TikTokophobia. I have a morbid fear of clocks. Ring, ting, tinnitus. Doctor, just here. Can you help? To say I can't remember where it started isn't strictly true. I blame my mother, which did come out in therapy, and I did do a bit of primal screaming of my own. My mother was 3 weeks overdue with me, and I was a big baby by all accounts. I just didn't want to budge. Reckon I knew what was coming. Bloody time, that's what was coming. My mother was screaming in agony for days, and lolloping around like some beached whale by all accounts. It wasn't until I had my own rebirthing moment in a cloistered shop hidden on Clapham High Road that I really understood. My birth, her trauma, bloody hell. I'm in the middle of a show, don't you know anything? Where was I? Yeah. Oh yeah. That hidden shop in Clapham High Road. Oh, I heard her screams. God, I heard them. Just get it out of me! I don't care how. Just get it out, rip it out, drag it out, cut it out. I don't care. Just get it out of me. Get the fucking thing out, bastard child! And all that from a woman who never raised her voice, never shouted. Perhaps that was where it all started. That's fucking disgusting. Ugh. Yeah, must have been. I mean, I was late teething, late walking, late talking, late on the potty, late reading. I started my periods late. I was even late kissing. God, isn't it any wonder Lily Lateness from Leyston didn't get a hang up earlier in life? Jesus. But now I'm ready to face my demons. Oh yes, I know I have a problem. So I'm ready to open those closets full of broken clocks and face those that I've left behind down the years. Crane Toothful, who I think is probably still standing under the precinct clock. Jenny, maybe, still waiting at the airport. Countless cold dinners. Buses I've missed. Boys I failed to kiss. All those hours. Wasted hours that will never return. There's no second chance with time. That's what he said.
Maxine, there is no second chance with time. Once it is used, it is used. It is the most dispensable thing that we have. Waste it, by all means, but forever attached to it is regret. By Christmas, I was convinced I had ADD with a smattering of bipolar disorder, some psychological dysfunction with some OCD thrown in, not to mention the panic and the anxiety. God, I was a mess. I went back to my school reports. English language, Miss Taylor. Maxine often fails to give close attention to detail and makes careless mistakes in her schoolwork and other class-related activities. Maths, Mr. Bartlett. Maxine does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish her schoolwork on time. Miss Casarinas, PE. Max often loses things necessary for the task or activity, so thus cannot be included in said activity. Miss Stroud, History. Max talks incessantly and often blurts out answers before the question has been completed. She has difficulty in waiting her turn and often interrupts or intrudes on others. She is a constant fidget and makes herself a regular nuisance. I stopped going to Godfrey. It was like being in a minefield. I mean, of course, it's stuff that's painful to hear, stuff I don't want to hear. I mean, isn't that the sick and twisted reason we go there in the first place? Shell out thousands of pounds to someone to tell us about the problems we already have some kind of inkling about. I actually stopped going because he asked me to. He said, quite coolly, one session, Maxine, I do not think we can continue our work together. These lies have become a barrier to our work. There is not much we can do.
There it was.
Something that was finally the truth. The lies! The big fat whoppers that had accompanied every Slate scenario for the last 4 years. Great big humdingers of lies. Not just merely untruths or storytelling. Lies so big you can fall inside them and get lost for days. And not just about me, no, everyone else as well. I could alter my reality to fit. And that's what I became really good at. You know? Fictitious plots and subplots, characters, scenarios, places. God, it was a complete soap opera. And not just one on the go. I had different sets of lies of lives for different sets of people, and I could mastermind them even when they crashed into each other. I was like some puppet master pulling the strings. I could literally suspend the belief of people around me, getting them to believe exactly what I wanted. Questions. That's where most things start, isn't it? People wanting bloody answers to everything all the time. I mean, if people didn't ask the freaking questions in the first place, there would be no need for this hiding in the shadows, skulking in late, waiting to be scolded. My mother was the question queen. Where's this? Where's that? What you doing so-and-so for? How come you haven't finished this? Who, what, where, when, how? Of course a little bit of espionage creeps in. I mean, I never was very good at the monosyllabic answers. I cottoned on pretty quickly to the idea that if you're going to tell a story, you might as well make it an earthquake of a lie. And make yourself the epicenter. Make it one of those volcano of a lies that decimates everything in its path. There is one such lie that will go down in the annals of history as the biggest and best lies of all time. It started, like most of them do, quite simply, nothing too elaborate. You see, the trick is to keep the die casting, keep the wool rolling and plentiful, so it gives the tapestry a chance and keeps the wool spinning. I got a nice job in regional rep. Yeah, nice part. The director seemed to like me. Gave me the job probably despite the better judgment of his fellow staff, but there we go. I did a nice audition piece. Chuffed to get the job, and I genuinely couldn't wait to start rehearsals. So, Monday morning, picture this. First day of rehearsals, and I'm late, and not by 5 minutes. 10 minutes, which is a reasonable phone call, 15 minutes maybe in traffic, even an hour in the hospital. Oh no, nothing that simple. I am 3 days late, and I rock up on the Thursday, bold as brass, with the lie to end all lies. Even Beelzebub would have been out of a job and onto the streets. So, made sure I looked the part, all suitably pasty and wasty. You know, complexion dim to the point of death looking. Body completely bereft of vitamins, all that what you have here. Sorry, I say. I'm so sorry I'm late. Oh, it's a long story, but basically, I've been in hospital. So here we go. Cue. People coming round me, surrounding, crowds gathering, already murmurings of, oh God, what happened? Is everything okay? God, she looks terrible. Doesn't she look terrible? Spent the weekend at my parents'. They got a country pile down in Ascot. Well, actually it's Sunningdale. But I had a lovely few days. Swimming, drinking, eating, as you do, you know. Sunday night comes 9 o'clock, decide to go home a bit late, beat the traffic. Mum sends me packing with a couple of tuna sandwiches. Get home, crash out with my script. Job done. 6 a.m, phone goes. It's my mum, screaming down the phone. The woman's bloody hysterical. Can't understand a word she's saying. Finally get hold of my dad, and he says, our dear old family cat, Timmy's dead on the doormat. Turns out these two have put 2 and 2 together and decided that the tuna it had eaten has obviously been poisoned with botulism. You know, that was all the rage back then. Old people dying by the dozen from it. Mum decides, I'm the next victim. Oh! I hear her cry, she's going to die, darling, get to the hospital. So, that's what I do. Ring my friend, he picks me up, takes me down to the hospital, hopefully to get pumped out. By 10 o'clock, it's all over. Stomach contents suitably emptied, and all dignity humiliated by a large tube up my jacksie. Parents pick me up, take me home to convalesce. I slept and I slept and I slept. And it's only when I looked at the messages I remembered I even had a job. Poor Timmy was buried and a pall of sadness hanging over the house. Next day, Wednesday, milkman rots up to collect the money, the bill, you know. Asked about the cat, asks how it is. My mum says, dead, very dead, and buried under the sycamore at the bottom of the garden. Milkman apologises, says, well, it's probably got something to do with the fact on Monday morning, poor little Timmy had a giant milk bottle cracked on his head. He was trying to run under the cart. Poor little thing was exhumed, autopsied that very day, and yes, he died from a severe blow to the head. So, here I am. You know, gullibility. That's the biggest problem, isn't it? All I really needed was a slap on the wrist, someone sending me to bed without me supper. I never got me comeuppance. Nobody ever said anything. No wonder I got away with it for so long. The lies spinning out of control for the last 40 years. I mean, did nobody Not again. Oh. Hello? What do you mean, where am I? Where do you think I am? At the bloody Harrods sale? What? Director, fucking Stephen fuck anything with legs Macintosh. Where do you think I am? In the fucking theatre, dickhead? Studio 3. The black box with the yellow door. What do you mean Studio 4? Diesel Dyke put me in here and told me to stay put until... Hello? Hello? Oh, fucking battery. Hello? Hello? Is anybody out there? Is anybody watching this fucking show or not? Hello? Is anybody there?
Max, you're in the wrong theatre. You should be in Studio 3. You're 20 minutes late for the start, so we'll have to go without you, I'm afraid. But we might be able to slot you in later. Just get to the studio now, will you?
Oh, you take...
Wardrobe's waiting. In fact, everybody's waiting.
Fucking piss! What do you mean I'm in the wrong sodding studio? You fucking well put me here! Ugh. You know what? You can all go to fucking hell. I never wanted this bloody job in the first place!
Yeah! Woo! Well done, Rosie. I am a little bit worried that someone has been watching me to write that, but as a few of my co-directors and producers and people that I've been on stage with will attest to. So we have come to the end of our production. We really, really, really hope that you've enjoyed it. We've had an absolute ball making it. We've got a few thank yous, quite a few thank yous. First off to Jordan Barkway and Luke Newell for their technological expertise in bringing the show together. It's the hardest job of all. They've done a fantastic job. All the tech support for everybody who doesn't really know what they're doing and making everything look beautiful and run fantastically. Thank you to Simon Tagney for filming and editing Tick, A Gentle Exchange of Cucumbers, and Pauline's speech from A Winter's Tale. We thank him immensely. We are so grateful for his time and his generosity with his amazing skills. A big thank you to Michael Corbidge for generously allowing us to use his monologue scripts. A thank you to Christina Barrett for organising the raffle that ran alongside the event. And finally to Rose Lancaster for, well, basically directing, promoting, driving us all to achieve this first for the players. And finally to all of the actors and their family and their friends who have helped with line runs, tech support, feeding them copious amounts of tea and sympathy and telling them that yes, you can do it. So a massive round of applause and a thank you to everybody involved, all the people behind the scenes who have been promoting, telling friends, selling tickets, telling people, look what we're doing, it's amazing. Because, you know, without everybody coming along to watch it, there's no point to being here. So thank you to all of you for coming along. And I believe I'm going across to Kim now, just to say good night. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kelly. You stole my thunder and said thank you to everybody. So I will reiterate every one of those. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, everybody who supported us over the last 2 nights. Thank you for allowing us to put a show on for Christmas. That means we actually finished the year with something. And I will leave you with a small poem that comes from the Noda magazine for this year, which just says, don't give in. Don't lose our way. We'll all perform another day. But until then, let's not give in. Keep up our spirits. I know we'll win. Although it's sure to be a while, we'll all be back to make audiences smile. And I promise next year, we will have live shows. And we will have, if lockdown stays around for a bit longer, at least another one of these. So please come and support us, and thank you very much. Good night, everybody.